Hi, I'm Jennifer Janish, owner of Adored Salon and Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair Extensions. I'm obsessed with curly hair. I cut it, style it, and extend it, and this podcast is all about my curly girl obsessions that stretch far beyond just curly hair. Hey, it's me, Jennifer from Adored Salon, Adored Signature, Hand-Tied Hair Extensions, and of course, as you know me on here, the Curly Girls Obsessions. I am today in my husband's office. I feel like Mike Ditka is like the godfather of this office, the way these photos are of him. And if you don't know who Mike Ditka is, he was the coach for the Chicago Bears for quite some time. He actually took us to the Super Bowl in the 80s, I want to say, and we actually won. That was the big season for the Chicago Bears. And my husband, of course, has very fond memories of him and what he did. That's why he's all over our walls. But, anyways, today is actually Sunday, January, I think it's the 25th. It's either the 20, well, no, it could be later. No, today is the 28th. I suck at the number dates, because I think sometimes I just don't want to I don't know about it. But or I just get lost in time sometimes. I feel that I was really happy to see 2024 or 2023 leave. And 2024 has kind of been like a course redirect, or I would say a life redirect. So in 2023, obviously, I started this podcast. I've had at Adored Salon for almost 10 years. It'll be exactly 10 years, April 2nd of 2020. No, shit. It was 10 years, April 2nd of 2023. Isn't that freaking crazy how time can just pass and you're just kind of oblivious to it? So regardless, yes, Adored Salon was in existence now for over 10 years. I'm just remembering something that I think I'm supposed to keep my screen this way. God, I hope that's right. Okay. So, and now you get to see the full array of Mike Ditka behind us. So, anyways, 10 years in 2023 for Adored Salon. And Adored Signature has been in existence for 4 years, the hair extension line. And it's been interesting. Like, as a business owner, I think you think, gosh, if I could just get through the first year, the second year will be easier. If I could get through the second year, the third year will be easier. And what you find as a business owner is that every year comes complete with its challenges. And just like in life, like nothing, just because you've learned QuickBooks doesn't mean that your business is going to be smooth sailing. Just because you figured out how to order hair from India perfectly doesn't mean that things are going to be smooth sailing forever. And because there's always bumps in the road. Always bumps in the road. So what happened in 2023 with business was something that was just, I guess I could say this word, unprecedented. Like, it was in the hair industry, you could always bank on the fact that February, July, and October would be your slowest months of the year. And in 2023, there was something that happened at the end of the year that just, well, I would say the second half of the year. And I mean, honestly, we all know the recession that is happening, right? Like, and all the things going on in the United States. But it was like as if the hair industry as a whole, because it was all over social media, became slower. And it was so obvious September and October. Mid-November, things got busy. Of course, the holidays came, and December, we take off the end of the year for the week between Christmas and New Year's. And then we come back the first week in January. And we've done this now. I think we've done it now 2 years, and it has been amazing for us as stylists. And then we came back in January, and lo and behold, January usually is a quieter month. January has been super busy, but because of the way that things unfolded in that last half of the year with the salon, and of course, if the salons are slower, you're definitely going to see it in the extension line. It's definitely time to course correct, right? Like, I just feel like there are those times in our lives where the brick wall, like, we can't run into it fast enough because God's like, you better hit this damn thing, girl, because you're about to just go in a direction that you don't want to go. And so I had to come to the realization that I was like, okay, so many things I put out for other people to do that are outside of my salon. There is so many capable people, including myself within the salon, that are able to do these things. And as a salon, right? So I'm talking about emails, podcasts. And with our emails, we would typically write out our emails and we would do them and we would send them out. And then emails would be created in MailChimp and it would be copy and paste from what we said. And of course, there's other additions to it too. And we'd be sending over photos and everything. And I was just like, okay, there is more than enough of us here to be able to take this on. And same thing with the podcast. Creating this podcast, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to do this before I can train anyone because I 100% believe that I need to do it first before I can expect anybody else to do it. And not that I want to do everything. I don't. I really kind of got angry at the end of the year when I was like, I don't want to do this. I just don't want to do this. And, the girls would be super supportive. There was a couple meltdowns on my part in the salon because I really didn't want to do it. And then learning also along the way about things that should change and make better. And just when you think you'd have it all packaged up perfectly, then something else would change. And it would force us to look into it again and revisit it and fix it, right? And I am one of those people, like, I really like to believe that failure is awesome because you learn so much from it. But when you're going through that failure, it really sucks. And the girls at the salon would also tell you that it really sucked too, because there was a few days there where I was trying to do something and I use a Microsoft computer for business purposes, accounting, payroll. Microsoft is more geared towards business, whereas a Mac is more geared towards art and creativity. And in order to do the podcast, I had to use my son's Mac. And I'm so not used to this keyboard with the, two fingers, how you move things, how you drag and drop. Like I literally one day had a meltdown at around 4:30 p.m. with the girls at the salon. And I was like, why did you all think? Probably they all left me because they were sick of hearing me bitch about what I was doing. And they laughed at me. Hopefully the clients laughed at me. But it was definitely a good learning lesson because now I know how to do one more thing. And if it needs to be me that does it, then so be it. I have to organize it in my calendar. But I did learn. one more thing. And same with the emails. Now you're probably like, oh my God, it's so easy to send an email. Well, it's not really that easy to send an email when you have call to action buttons and you've got to have the perfect photo and you want it to link properly. And there was a time too when I was doing the emails in the beginning when I just couldn't get the freaking link to link. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? This is crazy. And Janet, the girl who has taken over the emails, was sitting beside me. And she's like, the reason why it's not linking is because it already says HTTP. And I was like, oh, so when you copied and pasted the link from the web, it's the full link. But MailChimp wants to help you out and put the beginning of the link there, which makes no sense to me because honestly, who the hell is typing out the whole link without copying and pasting it? Nobody, because you want it to be exactly right, right? So that was a little bit of a thing that came along. The other thing that was a thing that came along with those emails, and this, I'm just telling you guys these stories because I think that hearing it from me telling you how bad it, the learning curve was, right? And all the things that you see that have been kind of left by the wayside or just fallen off as a business owner, because sometimes you take your foot off the gas because you think everything's covered and then all of a sudden it's not. And it's because you have to be on top of everything all the time, whether you like it or not. That was another moment of, where I just kind of really got really freaking irritated because you see all over the internet and social media, um, like, oh, boss babe, don't do all the work 3 days a week, have the greatest life, without someone else should be doing this, someone else should be doing that. And that's well and fine. It's well and fine. But when you own a small business, and a small business is not characterized by the amount of people, right? Like it's just, it's, because honestly, the two businesses, Adored Salon and Adored Signature, produce quite a bit. But it's like I am the main person. I am the main go-to. And if I forget about things, they just get forgotten about unless I task someone with that task that's in my inner circle that I'm going to see every day. And they're like, did you do X, Y, and Z? Did you do this? Did you do that? Or I'm like, okay, I know that we're all supposed to be on the same, you know, um, the same wavelength here. And I know that this needs to be done. Did it get done? So when it came to those emails, I had said to the group of people that helped me, are you guys uploading, importing the lists, right? Like from Adored, from our scheduling software. And they're like, well, no, I thought you were doing that. And so here's the thing, we were doing it before COVID when we could have pieces of paper that we would give everybody to fill out. It was like this awesome questionnaire. Your name, your address, what products do you use? How much time do you spend on your hair? Where did you find us? Who referred you? Um, what's your email? Like all this information was captured within this page. And then the receptionist would take it, update their info in the scheduling software, click over to our newsletter to sign up their email, which that did go directly into MailChimp. COVID happened. As we all know, the shit hit the fan, right? So here's the interesting thing. COVID happens and we stopped doing so many things because one, we were out of the salon for 12 weeks. And it was a massive interruption. Two was you come back and you're like, everybody's freaking afraid to touch the same damn thing. So we don't have this piece of paper anymore. and things just don't get done. So just let me share with you how impactful this scenario was to that email system. So if any of you work in MailChimp, you know how this works. You click, all campaigns, the way we do it, all campaigns duplicate, and then we go in there and we change things up because the header's there, the font, it just makes things easy. And you can also see the size of your audience. So if your audience wasn't growing over 3 years, then you were conscious of it, right? Like you were aware that that number wasn't growing. So, but if you're not the owner, I guess, and that number becomes irrelevant to you because you think someone else is taking care of stuff, while in reality, someone else thinks someone else is taking care of it because it's gotten forgotten about. So here's the impact on that email list. I called our scheduling system because I'm like, this is impossible that we only have, it was like 2,374 contacts. And of that, people who hadn't unsubscribed, it was probably 65% of that number. And I'm like, there's no way. This salon sees anywhere from 3 to 20 new people in a week because of what we do. We're so specialized with curly hair and hair extensions. We're constantly getting new clients in. And that's great because our clients with curly hair, we don't see them, but a really good curly hair client, 4 months. And not even really good, but like you don't need to get your hair cut that often if you've got this awesome haircut that grows out perfectly. I would say on average, we see our curly clients every 6 to 8 months, and that's an hour of time. So you need a lot of people to fill up the books of 5 stylists, right? So I call the scheduling system. Now here's a new skill I've learned, how to download the report for all the clients. And honestly, I just picked from the beginning of time till the date that it was, right? So we're over 10 years worth of clients. And the, the when you download it, it's like an Excel spreadsheet. Janet knew how to take out columns. Perfect. So then all we have is the name, the email, and the phone number. So, and MailChimp is so smart that it will remove duplicates. And if they're unsubscribed, they're just unsubscribed. So no big deal. This list blew my mind. It was over 8,000 people. That's 8,000 people in comparison to 2,374 that were in there. And all this time, I had been emailing this group of people that existed in there pre-COVID, right? Like it just blew my mind, the dollars that were lost from that email list and me not being on top of how those names were getting in there and just not having a clear line of communication. And as a business owner, when you have so many things to think about and you're also working behind the chair, and there's a second business that's extensions, and then there's a third business that's education. Like these email lists are huge. That's your connection. But that's also how things get lost. It's like, again, taking your foot off the gas, not everybody knowing what needed to be done to make things happen, right? Like even in the salon, the girls know that there's emails that go out, but they're oblivious to it because they really don't have to participate in it. We will search out on their posts, we'll look up things like it's just this added benefit of being at Adored Salon for them, is that there's constant communication with clients, or so we thought. So now the email list is 100% updated. And here's the crazier part. That happened. When did we download that? I feel like it happened 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we have already seen over a dozen of the old clients that we had not seen since 2019. How impactful is that on a business? Crazy impactful, right? Eh, that's in a hair salon, like, well, anywhere, right? 12 new people or 12 repeat people that used to be there before. And I'm sure that there's more that are now seeing these emails come through and they're thinking how much that they would love to come back, or they hadn't been in a long time and their curls aren't loving their regular straight haircut that they're getting somewhere else or something. But like, that's just the shit that goes down because you do take your foot off the gas. You do start thinking about other things, and time gets to be less and less and less. So the email thing, that was huge. The podcast, obviously, if you've watched past podcasts, you know that it's been a minute since we've been back on. And like I said, I went through that whole drama last week trying to figure this out. I got it. Um, I have figured it out and I'm rolling with it. Thank God. I don't know if I'll be the one that's always doing it anymore, but I think the system is actually pretty easy once you get a hang of it. So I'm hoping to keep things pretty consistent with that. And I love doing them. I love talking to you guys and sharing my experiences. So the podcast isn't going anywhere. When it comes to the extension line, if you follow me on social media or any one of those businesses, you know the extension line is going on what we call the curl tour. We're super excited about this. So we're taking our curly show on the road. We're stopping in Florida first. That's, gosh, I can't even believe it, next Monday. A week from tomorrow, we're going to be in Florida. And we're teaching the blueprint to an Adored Signature curly install there. Then we're going to be in Gulfport, Mississippi. We're also teaching the blueprint to a curly install there. Then we have a class in March at Adored Salon that's already sold out, and that's the blueprint to a curly install. And then in May, we're going to Atlanta and we're teaching the Adored Signature install methods for textured hair. And when I say textured hair, it's like from straight to curly like mine. And that's pretty cool because there's a reason behind the foundational method, and then there's two variations, and there's good reason why there's two variations too, because not one size fits all. So that's on May 19th and May 20th, and then May 21st, we're teaching there the blueprint to a curly install as well. So I'm possibly thinking of throwing an install method class in Adored Salon in April, but I'm just not sure yet. I mean, we'll see. We get messages daily about that. So when it comes to that website, so it's obviously an e-commerce website, and this curl tour I knew needed more than what it was getting. And that was just a space on our website that just said education. And it was a nice page, but I needed something more. And my one good friend was like, you need a press release. And I'm like, oh, how do you do that? Again, something new, right? And I contacted this girl, love her to death. Her name is Ari, and she does press releases, but she was like, there are certain things that we've got to tidy up and make visibly, like, aesthetically appealing to people. So I was like, oh, okay. And she got to it and got it done, and it looks great. And then the press release went out and it got really good traction probably why we have the sold out class at Adored Salon in March. And yeah, it's super exciting. And the reason that I think all of that is super exciting is because 87% of the world has some form of wave to kink in their hair. Hair extensions have traditionally been for straight hair. And that's how we ended up coming out with Adored Signature, because my hair did not work with straight extensions. Our clients' hair did not work with straight extensions. Most of our clients have textured hair to some degree because of us doing curly tech, specializing in curly. But also, I mean, in any salon, like if 87% of the world has some form of wave to kink in their hair, 87% of your clients probably have some form of wave to kink, where if you're an extension artist, it's just not going to work, right? The straight extension. So, yeah, we're on the road with that. And that is yet another big leap in another direction that is kind of scary, but at the same token, super fun, because for the last 2 years, I've been teaching one-on-one classes at the salon. And, like, it's one of those things. If you could teach one person, why can't you teach 5 people or 10 people that skill? If you start out as one-on-one and it goes over really well and people like it and want more, then why not add more to the mix? So tomorrow, actually, this will air the day after, but my one-on-one class is with a girl named Amanda, and she's coming from Australia to spend the day with me for education for curly hand tied hair extensions. Like, that shit just blows my damn mind. I can't even believe that someone in Australia would know about us and want to come here to learn from us. Like, I don't even think it's hit me yet. I think maybe when I'm talking to her and I hear her cool accent in the class, it'll kind of hit me that she is, well, I mean, damn, it is hitting me. She's from Australia and she knows about us, right? So that is super exciting. I cannot wait to see where all this education goes for these hair extensions, because it's just exciting. And because we're the first to bring naturally curly hand tied hair from India to the market in the US, like, I mean, and we still are the only ones that have naturally curly hand-tied hair in the US, which is kind of hard to believe. Everybody else uses chemical perms or steam perms on their extensions to get the curl. And I happen to have an awesome supplier who has figured out how to get naturally curly hair. So lucky me. Lucky my hair. My hair really and truly, ah, I just I love my extensions, but that's a story for another day. And so the other thing that I changed too, and this one was a hard change. I started out 2023, like, I cut my schedule. I'm sure you guys heard about that. And my dog has a squeaker toy, of course, driving me crazy. Augie, go lay down. Go lay down. And sorry. Um I cut my hours at the salon. I do only work 3 days behind the chair. I work 17 hours a week behind the chair. Sometimes it goes over, like sometimes I'll have a curly extension install that takes longer, but I try to be out of there by 5 every day. I start at 10 a.m. Fridays, I leave earlier, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, it's such a nice schedule." Well, I just told you how much I work outside of being behind the chair. Being behind the chair is actually my stress relief, and most of the time. And it's something that I love greatly. But I knew I could not continue on with those late nights. So I cut my nights and I cut my hours, and I started working out. Get up every day at 5 in the morning. I would be at the gym by 6, and I worked out with a trainer for an hour. And then after that, I would be on the treadmill too for some time. And I like was doing so good and I was enjoying where I was. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what even happened. I think I just got, I don't even want to say bored with it. Like, I just missed my morning routine. I missed easing into the day. I missed not having to get up and go, really and truly, because I love to have my coffee in the morning. I love to meditate in the morning. Enjoy doing my social media in the morning. And if I need to get anything done that's pressing, like in that hour between, like, say 6 and 7 a.m., because I still do get up early, it's just a good time to work, right? And I stopped losing weight and started gaining weight. It was crazy. And I think it was like a mental block in my mind that I was creating for myself. Like, I was enjoying the social aspect of it tremendously, but I just wasn't enjoying the whole process of it at that time of the day anymore. And I was like, okay, everything that is not working for me or not, let's be real, making me money, because why else are we working, right? And why, when you're doing something, you want it to benefit you. You don't want to do it just because you're used to doing it, right? And I feel like a lot of times in life, we go through life and we can continue to do the same thing, be it good or bad for us, because we get used to it. It just becomes habit, be it good or bad. And you really have to, I think, just reevaluate your life. If it's not once a month, I mean, every day you've got to stay on top of things and you got to check in with yourself. I really and truly believe having a journal to write stuff down. They get this awesome planner type of a book called The Modern Warrior at Christmas. And it really and truly helped me determine what I wanted for 2024 and how to achieve those goals. But what it does is every day you're writing out what it is that you're going to do, what you're, be it mind, body, spiritually, and business, right? All these aspects of your life that you got to keep track of. And then you got to rate the things that you're going to do throughout the day. Am I going to compose an email? Am I going to talk on a podcast? Am I going to have one-on-one meetings at the salon? You've got to rate it in order of importance. So you don't necessarily write it that way, but you have to put a number by it that way. And then you have to determine, like, is this planting the seed for something in the future? Is this me out there hunting for business? Is this creating a legacy for me and my business and my family? Like, there's 4 different things that you have to put next to it to categorize it. And then you have to give it a time, how long it's going to take you. And then you have to check it off that you finished it. And before you even get to that part, there's a good, like, 40 pages of, like, conversation about life and going out and going after things, and then you reflecting on what it is that you want and writing it down. And through that process, I realized that I wanted my mornings back. I realized that I needed to figure out a new routine with that because I was gaining weight and I didn't want to be gaining weight. And everybody will say, "You're probably gaining muscle." Well, I had to buy this fancy scale when I started, and it definitely showed that I was not gaining muscle. It showed differently. And I think you guys know me enough to know that I'm pretty regimented. So I keep track of so many things. I also kept track of all the food I ate every day. I had a certain calorie account. I had so much protein, carbs, fat to get to. And I did keep track of it every day. So it wasn't even like I could say that I was binge eating. I even had my hormones tested because I was like, well, shit, maybe something's out of whack. Maybe God only knows I'm 48 years old. What's going on? Everything in my hormones was perfect, except my vitamin D was, and it wasn't even like it was low. It was like, here's the middle marker, and here was my vitamin D. So I was like, okay, I got to change something here. I got to be the person who figures this out for myself, and I got to move forward. So I stopped working out at 6 in the morning every day. And what is the part that is kind of funny about this is I think I went into like a rebellion stage because I wasn't working out at 6 in the morning. I was like, after a week, I'm like, gosh, it's really nice. My body isn't sore. Well, and you know where that goes, right? You're like, oh, well, then I guess I'm good. Like I'm not sore. I'm doing fine. And then I found myself also indulging like crazy in food that was not the best for me. And then in turn, my stomach hurt, so now I'm on the road to getting that back on track. But I kind of think I just needed it. I did that for a year straight, 6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. And the other day, London, my 16-year-old said to me, Mom, I really like that you don't work out so early in the morning anymore because I really missed you driving us to school. That hit me so hard because you really do get the best of your kids in that morning time. They're fresh, they're happy, they're typically not tired, and they want to talk to you. And I'm like, damn, I missed out on a year of this. But you live and you learn, right? Again, you live and you learn. You hit the brick wall, you get up, you keep going. You hit the brick wall, you get up, and you keep going. And that's going to be my 2024. it, it, well, hopefully I don't hit the brick wall too many more times, but there was another situation that had happened recently, last week, namely, that I did feel was again one of those wake up call signs. Like, again, you go through life, things are easy, they work out, you don't have to think about things too much. And this was pretty crazy. My husband and I were away last weekend. We had took my 19-year-old her car because it had broke down after Christmas break, and we were taking it to her. And we're in the hotel room in the morning, and both of us are on the internet and just waking up, having coffee. And he goes and looks at our bank account and he says, "Did you write yourself a check for $4,000?" And I'm like, excuse me? If you know me, I'm a pretty simple person. Like, I'm not into big brand names. I like my Doc Martens. I like my Air Jordans. I don't walk around with like big name brand purses. I'm more of a jeans and t-shirt kind of girl. And I like something that I don't have to worry about it, like slamming on the floor or into the car. So I'm like, no, I did not write myself a check for $4,000. I think I would tell you about that. He's like, this is not even your handwriting. And I'm like, what? And so I look over, and it is not my handwriting at all. And it's very sloppy. If you've ever seen my handwriting, it's cursive, and I have perfect handwriting. I will pride myself on that. I love the way that I write. And it was printed. My name was signed in print, and the person who wrote this check's name was in the memo. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? And I had a feeling, because not many people come into my house. Like, my kids and their friends come in, my husband and I, like, if we do things, we typically go out, right? So I call up my cleaning lady and I said to her, "Who is the third person that has been coming in to help?" She tells me her name, and that is the name that is written in the memo for $4,000. And here is another thing for everybody to be aware of: the overdraft protection. Yes. Now, thankfully, because she tried to mobilely deposit it, it was flagged immediately because you can't mobile deposit a check for $4,000. So it was back in our account really quick, but the frustration of it was that I had to go and close my old accounts, and we have like four of them for different reasons, and reopen new ones. And anyone who online banks and pays their bills online and has bills automatically withdrawn knows the pain in the ass that this is. I did spend 3 hours at the bank that day. The police officers that we had to create a report with came to pick up the copy of the check from the bank and hopefully be able to read the back. They couldn't. The only thing that we knew on the back was that it was mobilely deposited at Chase. So I'm like, as I'm pissed off enough about this banking situation, right? And what I had to go through. And through the week, right, I'm talking with the police department. I'm just being kept up with what is going on, because of course it came out that there was other people that it had happened to. And then, so that was last Saturday. Then by Thursday night, all of a sudden, and again, this is one of those instances in life where if you think that you don't have enough time to do something, then it's probably like it's important to follow through with it. So there was one time where I was doing payroll for the salon and I needed it sooner. God only knows for what, tuition for college or whatever. And I wrote myself a paper check and I changed it in the payroll to a paper check, right? So in online payroll, if you do payroll, you can click direct deposit or paper check. Well, once you click paper check, your direct deposit information goes away, and it would require me to edit me as the employee, which probably would take less than 30 seconds to enter in my bank account. And so lazy me kept going on with this not being direct deposit. I'd write myself a check and then I'd mobily deposit it. I'd write void across the top and I'd throw it in a drawer, waiting for it to be filed eventually into the abyss of papers that I have to keep forever because of the businesses. So Thursday, it becomes apparent to me that while this girl also dug into my checkbook to write herself a check, she took those back payroll checks of mine also while she was in my kitchen, right under my nose because I was in my house, and she tried mobile depositing them into her bank account. And if you can believe this, with the word void written across the top, with it paid to the order of me, signed by me, and also signed on the back by me, with it saying for mobile deposit only to my account number, her account pulled the funds. Isn't that freaking crazy? That is freaking crazy. As of right now, I know that the money never hit her account, but it's out of my account. So it's floating up in this cloud right? And hopefully it comes back down and lands in my bank account. The other wake up call to this is that mobile deposit is not as smart as we think it is because it was able to deposit those checks. Then her bank came and said that they were first right of that deposit when meanwhile they were deposited in my account in October and November. And then my bank, this is even crazier, the fraud department at my bank said that I was responsible for paying out those checks because Chase told them that they were first right of deposit and that I should go back to my business bank, which is separate from the two that are my personal and her account, because my business bank rejected the checks and they're to blame for it coming to my personal. And I thought to myself, it took me a while to put all this together in my head because you talk to someone on the phone, you get upset, you're angry, then you come back and you're like, wait. It was almost like I had to draw like a tree graph of all of this chaos, right? To just figure it out. I call my business bank, and they're like, who cares if Chase says that their first right of deposit, if if it was deposited into your account in October or November, they're not first right of deposit. You are first right of deposit. And why isn't your bank, the fraud department, putting the pieces of the puzzle together and going backwards in your account and seeing when you deposited it? Because we're in January, the end of January, and those were deposited in October and November of 2023. The banking world does not work that way. It is not that far behind in processing stuff that they would be waiting 3 months to come back to you to ask for the money. And I was like, oh, damn, she's right. Like, she's like, we were the bank that actually did the correct thing. We stopped payment. Why is your bank allowing this to happen, your personal bank? And I was like, damn, Old Second, which is my personal bank, needs to grow a pair and tell Chase, you can't have that freaking money. And then here's the whole other part of it that just blew my mind is that this whole mobile deposit thing, I said to my personal bank, how is it that if someone, which is what an institution, is requesting money from you, that you can't see the actual check that shows my name and that it's voided, right? Because you do wonder, like, were the checks washed and all this, but no, they weren't, because I actually had the hard copy sitting in my kitchen. I still have it. And they said that due to privacy laws, that they can't access those photos. What? Privacy laws? If I'm requesting money from someone, like, I have to show them a receipt or an invoice. I'm not gonna, like, I send the order that I would like to India for hair. He puts it together in an invoice, invoices me back, and then I send him a wire. Like, I'm not sending out all that money without proof of what I'm paying for. So why is it that the banks can't see proof of what the other bank is requesting of them as far as the money goes? Especially in this situation when we had alerted them that there was fraud the Saturday before. Now we're on the Thursday after the accounts are basically closed, but it's kind of like a hold to see what else comes through. And these checks came through, and they told me that I'm liable to pay them because of all these situations that have fallen through the cracks. So, what's the learning lesson there? Well, damn, you better, like, paper checks are such a thing of the past, and it's not safe to have a checkbook clearly even in your own house laying around. And that was what my fraud department said from Old Second, was like, well, do you have it locked up? I'm like, well, it's in my house. It's locked in my house. And she's like, yeah, but, like, don't you have it secured? I'm really disgusted with that fraud department, just so you know, by the way. I did not agree with her on anything that she had to say to me. And I'm going to need to follow up with all of that on Tuesday because I'm going to be in this class all day tomorrow. But yeah. And Miss Little check writer and mobile depositor was questioned on Friday and not arrested. Now, this whole debacle is over, I think it's almost like $13,000 that she tried to scam. Um, because none of the money hit her account, she is, I mean, now they're going to go after her for forgery. That is a federal offense, but she was taken to the police department. She was taken back home, and God only knows. Like, it honestly, it just blows my mind. So, again, if you are not on top of your shit will be on top of you, and you will have to figure it out. And that whole situation with this check thing has just like tanked me this week. It really and truly, like I said to my husband today, I'm like, Brad, I think I'm just kind of like in this funk. Like the weather here sucks. It's dreary, it's misty, rainy. Like I'm surprised my hair even looks like this after the rain I've been in this whole week. And you're just like, it's cold. You don't want to be here. I cannot wait for spring like weather to come because right now it is just, ugh. So I will be starting my new workout routine tomorrow. I'm definitely going to have to go back to tracking my food, even though I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to write emails. I don't want to produce podcasts. I don't want to do this, but I have to do it in order to see the results that I want. And that's just the way that life goes. If you want to get any kind of results, you've got to put the hard work in. It's not going to come easy. It's definitely going to be one of those things that requires you to step up to the plate, level up your life in order to become the person that you want to be. Nothing's going to make it happen for you. And every time that you feel like you've hit a brick wall, it's just been a gift to change the situation that wasn't working out for you originally. So that's my blurb on 2023 and into 2024. If you are doing something that is not producing the results that you want, personally or professionally, stop. Just stop. Stop doing it. Because if it's not giving you what you need, it's not worth your time or your money. You need to figure out a new way to make it better. And that's that. So I hope you listen in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be me and my team covering a ton of different topics and some really exciting stuff, funny conversations, and honestly, a little bit more about hitting a brick wall, I think, and coming back from it. At least I know that's with me and Celia, which will be the next podcast after this. So thanks for listening. I really appreciate you showing up for me and watching. If you could leave a review, awesome. I would love it. If you could click the follow to get updates on when new episodes release. From here on out, it'll be every Tuesday that they should show up in your inbox. If you want to follow me on social, it's at Jennifer_Johnson_Janish. This is for Instagram. At Adored Salon, at adored_signature_hand-tied_hair for the extension line. On TikTok, I'm Chicago Curly Specialist or Jennifer Chicago Curl Specialist. I think there's two of them. And well, there's not two of them. There's like your name and then your whatever they call it. but I would love for you to follow. And again, I'm so grateful for all of you wanting to listen to the chaos of my life sometimes. And thanks for coming back after that short break. And thanks for listening to Why. Now, if I could just figure out how to shut this thing off.